Welcome to Ntiva's Microsoft webinar for July 2024. I'm going to be your host again, Ted Brown, Director of Product Management, and I'm excited to talk about today the updates that have happened to Microsoft Copilot for Microsoft 365. Real quick, I just want to make sure everyone's aware this is not going to be exactly how to use Microsoft Copilot for Excel, Word, Outlook, PowerPoint. We do have another webinar I did in the February time period that went through a lot of examples. It's about almost 50 minutes of content. So you can kind of see how to use Copilot for each one of those applications. And in case you are here for that, these updates will kind of go hand in hand because there's some changes from that webinar I've done. But I'll go ahead and make sure you know where to get to that on our website to actually watch that video and give you that foundational information. So then you can watch this next video we're here to talk about some of the updates that how to use some different features in Microsoft Copilot. Now, for everyone that's here for the updates, what I'm excited about to talk about here is some of the key features that Microsoft has enhanced with Microsoft Copilot for 365 and some big changes they actually have done for a couple of the applications to use Copilot to its fullest, and some of the little nuances you might not be used to as well. I'll give some examples of how to use it on a daily basis. So let's go ahead and jump into the content here. And today we're going to be going through some of the licensing changes that occurred for Microsoft Copilot for 365. This does not, spoiler alert, does not change the $30 per person per month paid in full and annual. That is still in effect. But there is the ability to add Microsoft Copilot to a whole bunch of different licenses that we're not able to have the add-on for Copilot added before. So that's some key changes. I'll go into that, as well as get into some of the Microsoft Copilot 365 Office updates and some of the actual new changes and benefits that I actually use on a daily basis I think might be handy for you. So before we get into the licensing update, just in case, again, if you're here to learn how to use Microsoft Copilot, let me show you where to go for that. So if you go to our website, www.ntiva.com, you can come in here and go to our Knowledge Center. Under Knowledge Center, you'll see the Ntiva Tech Mastery series for on-demand videos. We have two tracks. We do have a cybersecurity track, and we have a Microsoft track as well. If you click on the Learn More from Microsoft, you'll see all the new webinars I've done over the last almost 3 years now in here. And so you can go down to the February one and click on the Copilot for 365, the latest updates. It's about 54 minutes of content to get into exactly how to use Copilot for each separate application. So recommend watching that if you haven't already seen that today. But if you've already seen it and familiar with Copilot, this webinar would be very beneficial to see some of the new enhancements they put into place. So one of the new enhancements that I just kind of mentioned is the Microsoft Copilot for 365 licensing update, the ability to use Copilot and add Copilot to people that are using more kind of the lower end, I would say, licensing SKUs within the Microsoft portfolio. So previously you had a business standard or business premium, an Office E3, E5, a Microsoft E3 or E5 to have the capability of adding on Microsoft Copilot. Microsoft made some changes last month. They can actually add Microsoft Copilot to people that are using apps for business or enterprise, which is really just the ability to install Office. Now, I want to make sure it's very clear, this does not give you the capability. So for that one, you only have the capability of installing Office on your computer. It doesn't give you in your Outlook, it doesn't give you Teams or anything along those lines. It gives you to use your Word, your Excel, your PowerPoints. So you have the capability of adding in a $30 license into that portfolio license suite to use the capability of using Copilot within Office itself. It will not be able to go into your email if you have a different email system, or it won't be able to go to your Teams and go into Teams. We'll only use it with that subset of applications you're licensed for with this license SKU, but it allows you to use it if you need it. Other people will use, I've seen people that have just like a Microsoft Exchange Online plan or a SharePoint plan. They want to use SharePoint and be able to use Copilot. You have that capability today. So they did kind of open up what type of users can use Copilot. But again, you still have to pay for the full $30 per user per month, paid all up front to add it into this different licensing type. Now let's go ahead and get into some of the updates that have come out for some of the applications that you might use Copilot on a daily basis. The first one is Outlook. Copilot is now available in Classic Outlook. Caveat on that, the Microsoft Classic Outlook will be coming to an end at some point soon. I definitely, the new Outlook is going to be enforced at some point. So I recommend kind of getting used to the layout. It did take me about a couple weeks to get used to the new visibility of how it looks. But once I got past that, I was actually able to get more benefits out of the new Outlook than I had before. So I've actually really enjoyed using that today, but I do know there's a lot of people that have not made that change. If you want to use Copilot before this update, you had to move to the new Teams. The new Outlook, but you don't have to do that today. So let me go ahead and show you what that might look like. So let me go ahead and move this over. So right here, what I'm looking at is the new Teams. This is the new Teams layout. It's more of the web-based view. And so for Copilot, I have a little Copilot button up here, and here's an email. I can hit Summarize Copilot right here. So this is the new version. This is what actually is in the old demo I have. But if you had the classic Outlook, you didn't have the capability of using Outlook, using Copilot in Outlook. So now let me bring over what that will look like for you. So let me bring over the old Outlook, or the classic one you might be used to on a daily basis. So as you can see here, it looks exactly the same as you might be used to with the classic Outlook look. Now, the Copilot button does not appear, and it's kind of a little hidden at first. So you can see here, it says summarize. So here's a fake email I put together actually with Copilot, the web version of trying to create a whole bunch of emails and going back and forth about making some lunch plans. So one of the nice features is for Copilot is you can summarize kind of a huge chain of email to give you some information without having to go through and read the whole thing. So I'll go ahead and click the summarize button here, and you can see here it's generating the summary. This is just like you would do just on the new Outlook, where it has a Copilot icon right there, and summarized by Copilot. Ted Brown created a fake email chain, tells me who's involved, some different places suggested for lunch, so you can get kind of recapped on that email. Kind of a goofy example, but if you've probably been attached to a long chain of email, man, this can save you a lot of time by just kind of getting the nuances of the summary right up front. You also have the capability of replying. And when you reply, you have a Copilot button up here to help you out with drafting with Copilot. So now you have the ability to actually write a response if you wanted to for that. So let's go ahead and type a response. Let's go ahead and accept the time and give an idea for a place to go. I'm going to go ahead and hit generate. As you can see here, it's going through the Copilot prompts, take a look at what was written beforehand, and going to come up with a response based on what I came up with for what I want to get across in the email. So sure, I'm up for lunch. How about 12:15? That way we avoid the crowd. I'm fine with Chinese place, but also good things about a new Mexican restaurant down the door. Great. Let's go ahead and keep that, pop it in, hit send, and push it across. So as you can see here, you now have the full capability of utilizing Copilot in the classic Outlook you were used to before. So I would say that's been a pretty big update that actually got pushed through last month. So you can take advantage of that today if you needed to. Now, next on the list is Teams. Now you have the capability of customizing draft messages in Teams or channels, which you actually were not able to do before. So let me go ahead and bring up my Teams. And here's my Teams right here. So I'm going to go to one of my channels. Here's my production channel, and we are going to reply here. So let's go ahead and create a headline about the Copilot update webinar and add a joke about why Copilot crossed the road. So I can hit this, copy this. There's a Copilot button right here. Go ahead and rewrite. So you can actually help this rewrite what you're trying to get across. Create a headline, update a webinar, include a lighthearted joke about why Copilot crossed the road. Let's go ahead and rewrite that. And include the joke. It actually didn't get across. Let's try it again. Boom. Discard. Rewrite. and pop it in there. So this capability actually utilizing this for replying to emails, replying to team messages or channel messages to help Copilot kind of draft something up for if you want, or even adjust the tone of what it might be as well. So we can pop that in there. Go ahead and hit this again. Let's go ahead and adjust for, let's go ahead and make longer. And we'll put in here a little bit longer information here and pop it in. So you have the ability to help draft something within your Teams or channel as well, using Copilot directly from the Teams app right there. The other one is you have the capability of modifying access to AI-generated insights based on transcript. What this means is you have the capability of coming into your calendar, and let's go ahead and pick a meeting here. So I have a meeting here with my team, my product team, and I can come into these three dots and click on my meeting options. So as we are creating AI content, so when you go through the meeting, it's doing the transcription and actually will give you some information about what's going on in the meeting, provide like the recap and summary of it. You have a capability of actually limiting who might need to see that information. So go ahead and open this up. So I went to that button, clicked on the meeting options, open this up. So you have, here's your meeting options you can play around with. And I recommend actually taking a look at what type of options you have when setting meetings. There's a whole bunch of different options you can actually put in there. If you go to record and transcript, one thing I do like actually here is setting the record and transmit transcript automatically for any type of recurring message meeting. So it's always recording. But right here, who has access to the recording and transcript, I can change who can see that and actually can take action on anything from the Copilot ability to get AI generated information from the transcript. So I can limit that. Most time you might want it to everybody, but for some reason, if you're having a private conversation within that team meeting and you realize you want to not have somebody go back to it, you can limit what specific people can have access to the meeting to make it more secure for whatever you might be talking about. Now, caveat on that is just to make sure everyone's aware, the people that have access inherently when it says everyone is the people that were invited and attended that meeting. So no one can actually search on the meetings that they're not invited to and get information about it. It's only the people that were invited to the meeting that have access to it. And then from here, you can actually limit it to even being less than who has current access and attended that meeting. The next one we have here is in Excel. You can actually have the ability to expand data structure support and comprehensive answers in Copilot in Excel. What does this mean? This means if you watched the video before of actually used Excel with Copilot, you're required to actually utilize a table to get the most out, well, get anything out of Copilot within Excel. So the first thing you do is you got to create a table, put your information in there, and actually then you can ask the questions. The expanded data structure allows it to actually be in a just basically a table format. You can have just the column headers at the top with information below, and it will be able to assume that it is a table. That feature is being released as we speak. Unfortunately, I don't have the ability to have access to it yet because it hasn't hit our tendency. But once it does, I can't wait to see how that works, because that's the one thing that's always a challenge with Excel, because you might not want to make a table for something, but you still want to get some answers from it, get some create some nice little graphs and charts from the information you have presented within Excel itself, but you don't want to put it in a table format. So once this gets rolled out, you don't have to. This got released right at the end of June, is being rolled out through the tendencies, should be available to everyone by the middle of August is what they're saying. So you might have access to it today. If you want to try it, give it a shot. The other piece I have here is it gives comprehensive answers within Copilot and Excel. So you have, let me go ahead and bring up an Excel example. So bring up Excel. So here's an Excel example. You can see here, this is in table format. So once I open up Outlook, so I'll open up Copilot, I can actually ask some questions about it. So one thing that wasn't able to do before, I'm going to ask the question of, how do I prevent people from editing the product category column to the wrong format? So let's go ahead and paste that in here. So I'm going to pop it in there and I'm going to see what type of ability it gives me of what I need to do to protect that. And there's multiple ways to make that happen, so you make sure that people do not edit that category. And we're going to see what it comes back with. All right. Actually came back with a nice little summary. You can use data validation to restrict the type of data and the values that users enter the cells. And then it gives you the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps that actually goes into how to create the data validation to make sure that you can only choose what the options you see listed there, so no one can actually make a wrong choice. I've done an Excel webinar, which if you want to go back to the Ntiva, that goes a little bit into details of how to actually do that and all the other kind of nice functionality you can get out of Excel. It's my favorite program that Microsoft Office has to offer. Recommend checking it out. And again, the best part now, if you have Copilot, you don't have to remember exactly how to do those every time, because it might be something you don't do on a day-to-day basis, but you know in your head what you're trying to get out of it. So you can just ask Copilot a question and it'll give you an answer right there without having to leave your Excel file. And that's going to get a little bit here and a little bit of Word, kind of a spoiler for the Word one. But what Microsoft's trying to do here is trying to make it so you don't have to leave where you're working to go find an answer. So previously, if I wanted to find this answer, I couldn't ask it in this Copilot chat. It would only actually do some of the data validations and the analysis and things along that. I would open up Edge browser and go to Copilot in there and pop that information in that. It would give me probably that answer. But this way, Microsoft's making it so you don't have to take those extra actions. You can ask it straight from the application that you're working on to get the information. So you don't have to go back and forth, saving you time to make sure you get the information you need to get your work done on that daily basis. So I do like that extra feature, and that is available in some of the other applications as well. So next, we're going to get into Word, creating document referenced with PDFs. All right, so let's bring this up. So I'm going to bring back over. Let's go ahead and add a new document. I'm going to go ahead and create a new document here. We're going to call it demo 146. And what I want to do is I want to create this document, but I want to create it from a PDF. So I want to reference this. So this is a DMARC, a product that we're launching, and the ability to actually set up your DMARC in a correct way to make sure that you have your email. When you're sending outbound people, they can validate you and the domain you're sending out is the correct source. So it limits phishing, limits spam, and things along those lines. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this link. And I'm going to come into my Word document. Let's go ahead and create a newsletter highlighting this offering. I'm going to paste it in here and generate. So while this is generating, you'll notice, hey, Ted, why am I doing this in the web version of Word right here and not on your install version? Some of these rollouts that's going through for the updates hit the online version first and then get pushed down to the actually installed version. So right now, if I actually try to run this on the installed version of Word, it would not work. So I'm going to come in here on install version, hit the same thing, create newsletter about, and hit generate. And if things come back, it'll give me a little error. It's not able to generate from this content just yet. There'll be an update coming out for the monthly channel update for my office. And once that hits, then I'll have the capability of taking advantage of that. So some of the things that are coming out in updates are available in the web version instead of the installed version. So you kind of might have to go back and forth to get the full aspect and use out of it for those new release items, which I kind of like. So I'm going to pop back over here to my online version, and you can see here it created a newsletter. So if I want to put this into something for Ntiva internally, or maybe we're doing a newsletter out to our clients, I can pop this out there real quickly and generate it from a nice big document we've already put together, and instantaneously this is all set to go. So that was something that you can only do with Word documents before. So they have a lot more type of files they're going to put into this. You can actually take reference and do what's called grounding. It's grounding in information. So Microsoft can now read from that file, give you the answers, and pull back what you're trying to pull out of the information and put forth into the document, trying to get out to whomever is going to be digesting this information. Would also be coming through that as well. So let me go back. You can see here, ground information from files, meetings, and people in words. This example I have here has not hit our tendency, but you can see in this picture, you can see drafted Copilot. You have the capability of seeing when you say write a proposal, all files, meetings here as the option. So when I come into here, let's go ahead and go back to a new meeting, I have it already up. You can see here, dismiss. I don't have that option to get more. I have reference files, which will just take a look at Word documents right here. So it doesn't give me that a lot of information. And that lot of information, if you take a look, if I go back into Copilot, should look very similar to this right here, where it says, I'm in my Copilot here. So this is like the main hub of Copilot. If you watched the video from before, I can click add files from people or search more. So you can see here, this little all people files meetings. That's how it's going to come across in Word right now, as well as other applications, to give you the ability to look up quickly some information and put that into the actual file, compare certain files against each other. I want to write a newsletter on these 3 new offerings and hit these 3 different file types and pop it in here, and it will just calculate that up, look at the information and pull through from the grounding, and then produce the content right from there. So very excited about that. I can't wait to play with it once it gets released to our tenancy. And then maybe the next webinar we do, I can actually show you that in production. This one also here is not quite in production yet. It's being rolled out, I believe, this month. It's the ability to add visuals to Word with Microsoft Designer. This is also on PowerPoint as well. So I don't know if you played around with Copilot on the web version. You can say, hey, create an image of a colorful chair in claymation style, and it'll give you these 4 different options to choose from. Now, you will have the capability of doing right this from the Copilot chat in Word and in PowerPoint. And you can see here, once it gets done and you like it, you can go ahead and hit insert, and it will pull that picture directly into your Word document or into your PowerPoint and paste it in there. So you can have the ability to create images that you've typed what you want to look like and quickly add it to your document or PowerPoint. So another one that I'm really looking forward to playing with once that gets released. Now, back to Word. You have the ability to refine or rewrite an existing section. Now, I do like this piece. So let me go ahead and back over to my Word. Let's go ahead and open up this document here. So here's a document I told Microsoft to put together. It's basically about a product called Tolkien. It's your personal time machine. The ability to have, you have contact lenses, you have the ability to rewind it 30 minutes and uploads files to the web so you can look back on it to make sure you do any type of learning and this, that, and the next. So I kind of put together this like really a testimonial, some data encryption of what's required. What happens if you lose your contact lenses for this, or where it's, what happens to those files, what happens to the data source. So I kind of put this together. Now, what happened beforehand when you're writing or creating content within Word, it would create the whole thing. Now you have the capability coming in here and highlighting certain sections and actually modifying some of the information here. So you can here generate section, generate from the section. Let's go ahead and write a prompt, or maybe auto rewrite. Let's take a look at what might suggest to rewriting this. And I can say, add something more. So Tolkien represents groundbreaking innovation that empowers the users to visually replay their most recent 30 minutes of experience. Let's go ahead and, make longer and more exciting. And you go ahead and put that in there, and it will rewrite, take that information and kind of hone it in exactly how you're looking at it. Again, this is just kind of a funny example how you might use this, but say if you're a financial firm or, accounting firm writing about the new tax laws for Virginia that just got released, and you kind of go in there and refining what's going to happen. So you can go to different sections that might not make sense or might need some more enhancements, rewrite it right from the section itself, and then it will put that information in. What I was trying to do before is actually I'd have my document and then bring up another document and write what I want to do for each section and then copying and pasting it over. So this definitely allows for a more easier use of the actual document itself. And it's pulling together, should put it in here shortly. The other thing here, while that's pulling that up, let me jump over to my Word document here, is key features. So again, I'm going to edit this section. I'm going to click on this button here. Let's go ahead and visualize the key features and put it into bullet points here. Let's visualize this as a table. Click that, and what it should do is it actually should put this into a table format, and maybe I like that view better than just having the actual bullet point items here. And as you can see here, now it's into a table format real quickly. I don't have to put it together myself. So it's nice that you had the capability coming into certain parts of the document, utilize Copilot for where it makes sense, and not have to create something fresh from the start. So I really like that update that has come through for Word. You also have the ability to ask questions not related to the document. So here I am, Tolkien personal time machine. Let's say maybe I'm going to go ahead and I'm writing a proposal for presenting this in a different country, but I'm really worried about, collecting names and email attendees. So I'm going to go ahead and ask a question as I'm writing a proposal for coordinating an event in South America. What are some considerations regarding collecting names, emails, and attendees? So I'll go ahead and click go, and this should go out to the internet, scour this information back, and pull it back to me. So here I am working on my Tolkien presentation and then asking questions to Copilot from the same screen. And again, not having to worry about bouncing from window to window and keeping all my work right in one location. So you can see here, it came back, said, hey, you worry about, the consent, privacy, data protection laws, accuracy, and transparency. So it kind of gives me some information to go on so I don't have to go anywhere else. And I can focus what I'm doing right here. So very handy little trick that Microsoft's done. And rewrite updates. I kind of went through that in the example as well. So those are the big updates I have in Word. Now, they have a couple other updates I want to make sure that you're aware of. The Microsoft Loop. So I'm going to be doing a webinar here soon all about Microsoft Loop. It's they're really pushing this out there. It's an ability to work collaboratively together with notes and things like that in projects, all within the Microsoft purview, and keep all the tracking of everything together. It's a very handy little tool. You start seeing this Microsoft little loop emblem all over the place. And I think it's one of those things that you start playing with, you'll see the use cases for it, and then kind of implement into your organization. And of course, since Microsoft's pushing this out, Copilot's now capable of actually being able to co-prompt within Microsoft Loop. So let's go ahead and show you that. So let's go ahead and go into, let's go ahead, new email, and pop down here. I got my loop component. So let's go ahead and loop component. We'll go ahead and put a paragraph here. So let's go ahead and let's create a headline. So if I click in here, add a title, we go ahead and have Copilot help me draft what the content might be. So let's go ahead and create a headline about the best ways to take care of your lawn. Hit go, it'll draft it out and kind of give me an example. Again, kind of a silly little example here. We can have Copilot, if you're kind of in a trying to figure out what to start this with to kind of get your brain going, Copilot can help kind of get this launched off the ground, and you can rewrite it from that. So that's how you can utilize it in Loop. Should we come back here in a second? And work ticket application Zoom. Interesting. Let's try that again. There we go. So as you can see here, Microsoft Copilot is not always correct for what it gives back to you. So now I'm creating a headline for top strategics, ways to maintain a healthy and vibrant lawn. Popped it right in there. Now I can kind of collaborate and expand from there. The next one is forms. I really do like this one a lot. So I don't know if you use forms. I do like using Microsoft Forms for questions, questionnaires, gathering information back. So if you haven't played around with it, definitely recommend checking out. It's a great way to obtain information. So let's go ahead and go into Forms itself. So I'm going to come back into Teams here. So I'm going to go to Forms, and it'll open up my forms. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to select new form. And so for this new form, oh, sorry about that. For this new form, right when it popped up, I now have the capability of drafting it with Copilot. And the best part about this is the other one's the loop kind of gives me information about, hey, here's a headline, which you potentially could come up with yourself. But for this one, I'm going to show you, hey, this can help you create the form from the verbal response or written response you're putting in here. So for this example, I'm going to copy this in. So I like to play adult hockey. I run a hockey team, and we are moved up to a different level. And it's we're not winning a lot of our games, so I want to actually send a note out to our team going, hey, who wants to do we want to stay at the same level? Do we want to drop a level when we sign up for a new season? And when we do that, what type of availability do people have to play in practice? So here you go, create a form to make this happen. So again, 2 sentences, generate, and we'll see what happens here. Now it should come back with a couple different response scenarios, and from there, maybe I'd be able to really hit send and have this go out without having to go through each form, writing it all out and tallying it. So you can see here, dear team members, please take a moment to provide the input. Do you prefer to stay at the new level? What's your availability to play Monday through Sunday? What days you like to practice? Please rate preference on playing days. How do you feel about the current league? So it gave me some different options there that were more than I even put in there in the 2 sentences. And I think this is great. Let's go ahead and keep it. So I went ahead and put it in there. And now let's go ahead and it pops him up going, hey, do you like the form style? Maybe we can go ahead and put some different styles in here. You can see here, a lot of the styles have to do a little bit with ice. Ice hockey makes sense. Let's go ahead and hit keep it. So now you can see here, I have a little bit of ice. All right, awesome. Let's go ahead and hit collect responses, push it out there. Anyone can respond. So now I actually can send this out through there and get responses back. Now, if I click on responses, which I find interesting here is send invites with Copilot. So I can send invites or reminders with Copilot. I hit try now, and now I can actually send friendly nudges to the people that should be doing the responses going, hey, make sure you fill out this form. So I can put all the emails in here for my hockey team. And this will actually make sure to nudge them to make sure they actually respond to this form. So I get the information back in a timely manner so we can make a decision what we want to do for the team. So this one I find fantastic, especially if you use a lot of forms. You can type something up, very short, 2 sentences, and it gave me a nice little form I could put out there, suggest a little background, and now you can actually collect the responses in a timely manner, all with using Microsoft Copilot in forms. Very handy. And lastly, Microsoft Copilot Labs. So if you remember from my other videos, if you actually used it before, Microsoft Copilot Labs gives you the ability to jump into it to get some ideas and get your brain kind of cooking of how to do prompting. Microsoft Copilot is only as good as the prompts you're putting in there. So it does take some practice and training of trying to get the most value out of what you're trying to accomplish for that task when you're using Copilot. So Copilot Labs is designed just for that, to kind of get your brain going, especially for the early onset of using Microsoft Copilot. You can jump in here and get some information. What they've done here is added a filter for job types. So you can take a look at hey, if you're a financial firm, maybe you should try these types out there. So let me show you that just in case you're using Copilot today of how to find it. Now, Copilot Lab is a website you can go to. Don't worry about trying to remember the site itself. If you want to, if you have Copilot, you can come into anything with Copilot has this button right here, view prompts. I'm going to click here and it gives me some ideas of prompts within the application itself. I want to say, let's view more prompts. And when you do that, it will open up Copilot Labs itself. So if you want to go to it outside, you got copilot.cloud.microsoft will bring you to here. And you can see here, here's all the different prompts to try. You can filter what type of apps. Maybe I want to see only in team apps, and for the job type, retail. And so here's some different people that have worked in retail for the prompts that work for them. Or here, financial services. Let's go ahead and click all here. Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and you can see here, here's the prompts that people have used with the application type they've used it for. So definitely recommend this when you're getting started. If you feel like you're maybe not getting the best value out of Copilot, say maybe I'm not asking the right thing or I haven't thought about the correct way. Copilot Labs can kind of get the juices flowing in your head to try to say, oh yeah, I never thought about trying Copilot in that fashion. Let me go ahead and try it for this document and see if it works for me. So highly recommend checking that out. And I think that's it. I think that was pretty much mainly the highlights that have come out there that is in user focus. There are some admin features they put in the back end as well, but for as far as using on a daily basis, I think those were the big hitters right there. And they're going to be coming out with features all the time. So there's a lot of stuff that is on the roadmap that is not launched out there. These are the ones that are generally available and being rolled out. Some you can see you haven't quite got availability yet, but I should have it here within the next month, 45 days to take advantage of those updates. Now, if you're an organization that is not, wants to use Copilot, but just doesn't know how to get started, things along those lines, definitely reach out to your account manager. We do have some different programs for Copilot itself. We do have the ability to do an accelerator program to kind of come in and help train you on the application sets to kind of see how it works with you, create some roundtable discussions about different people in your in your organization how a financial team might use it versus your frontline workers versus your admin crew, and get them talking together about what's the different prompts that have worked for them. So definitely recommend checking out, talking to your account manager about what options I have there if you're interested in starting your Copilot journey. And Ntiva is definitely here to help you out. We should have more information coming out for any of the new updates that are going to be released in Q3. I'm planning on doing another webinar near the middle of Q4-ish, I'm going to imagine so, about some of the updates that are released this month, this quarter, so you're kind of aware of all the different features that are coming up as well. I think that wraps it up. I really appreciate you taking the time to join this webinar, and I'll talk to you all soon. Hope you have a great day. Bye.